Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of iPad Pros. We're joined today by Riley Hill to dive into the 10th anniversary of the iPad Pro. Believe it or not, it's been 10 years since the original iPad came out back in November of 2015. It's been a fast 10 years, crazy 10 years of iPad, some ups and downs. We're going to dive into all of that in this episode. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so over at patreon.com/iPadPros or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. With that, here's my discussion with Riley. Enjoy. Hey, welcome back to the show, Riley.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for spending the time to chat about the iPad Pro with me.
Yes,
Kind of a looking back episode, nostalgic episode.
absolutely. 10 years.
I should have grabbed my 10.5-inch iPad Pro. It's sitting upstairs along with its leather sleeve and all of that.
That leather
Um,
sleeve. I have one floating around here too. Those things hold up.
it is surprisingly awesome, that leather sleeve.
Hmm.
People, I was just hearing it on ATP, them making fun of the MacBook leather sleeve. And I don't know about that one. But the iPad one, I felt actually had some utility.
Hmm.
People complained there's no place to put the Apple Pencil. Get the leather sleeve, perfect spot for it. I think it's a better spot than even the magnetic thing on the iPad because that just falls right off. Um, and the other thing is, it's a nice clean surface to rest your iPad on when you're working at a table. Don't get your iPad, scuffing around the table.
Hmm.
So I,
There
I
were,
always
there were,
enjoyed the leather sleeve. Yeah.
yeah, I always wanted the brown one, the whatever, I don't remember what they called it, but that set of the brown leather looked really good when they did that. And I think there was like an electric blue one, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, I got the black, and I got one for
Yeah,
both the
me too.
12.9 and the 10.5. I had a matching set of the second generation. I got the matching set, both 12.9 and the 10.5. Because so we'll talk about the original iPad Pro in a second, but basically I got the 10.5-inch iPad Pro when that came out,
Hmm.
and I set it next to my big iPad Pro. I was using them both side by side with the Logitech charging stand. Great little stand for charging over smart connector. And the first day, I had an when I realized True Tone was going to be the thing that makes it so I absolutely need to upgrade my big iPad Pro. Because using them both side by side, having the color temperature of the displays be different would just bother me to no end. And I also wanted to use True Tone, so I'm not going to turn it off. And
Right.
so that was the thing that really did it in for like, okay, we got to upgrade both iPads now. It wasn't ProMotion, even though ProMotion is awesome, but True Tone was what did it in for me having both big and small second gen iPad Pros.
That's fair. That's no, I get that. That was definitely one of those moments of like, yeah, if you were a 12.9 inch owner, you're like, geez, why didn't we? Because it was like
The
at least a few months
9.7
later.
inch had it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you're just
which
like,
came
oh
out
man,
in like
you didn't.
January,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. When was it? I think it was March 2016 it came out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when True Tone hit. But yeah, so that was the big thing. The other thing was so the original iPad Pro came out November 2015,
Mm-hmm.
and with Wi-Fi only, 32 gigabytes was an option, starting at $7.99.
Mm-hmm.
And I, being a very poor whatever person at the time, I got the 32 gigabyte iPad Pro. And wow, was that a painful device to to try to use back then? It was basically a terminal, and yeah,
I
so
re-
that was a thing.
I remember coming up to that, just the rumors, just in the months leading up to the release of like Apple's gonna do this jumbo size iPad. It's gonna have a stylus. Maybe it'll come with it. They're gonna do a keyboard. It was wild. Um, and the thing about the original iPad Pro that I remember, and I've watched that keynote somewhat recently. You know, they come out with this big iPad and they're presenting it as this device that you can do more with, but they didn't really ever explain how that was true. Like it literally was a big iPad Air. Like there, I mean, the keyboard, I guess, but like from a
The
software
screen
perspective,
size was the
yeah,
thing.
but you couldn't. It didn't feel to me. It didn't feel much more pro than the Air 2 at the time
Right.
for the way I used it.
Yeah, the Air 2 is such a huge leap forward for that all that RAM. So it was so fast.
Hmm.
Um, I think I went from I had an Air 2. I'm trying to remember what I upgraded from to that. Might have been an iPad
Are you?
4.
I was gonna say, were you an unlucky iPad 3 owner?
I didn't get a 3. My boss at work did, and complained about it quite a bit, if I remember correctly. I think I had a 4 though. Definitely had a mini 2.
Hmm.
Loved that thing. It was great. But yeah, the the original iPad Pro, the size was just so wild at the time. Those big bezels too made it even bigger. And the other thing was we had played around with keyboards at the time with like keyboard cases. They all were terrible.
Hmm.
All of them at the time were just bad. And I really enjoyed that fabric keyboard. I kind of missed the fabric keyboard, to be honest. You could spill water on it, you know. It's great. I kind of liked how it felt. I didn't like some of the origami stuff you would do with it. I like the Magic Keyboard now, how that works better. But the actual, I would. Is it crazy to think you wouldn't? I wouldn't mind a Magic Keyboard that's fabric based on the bottom versus aluminum. Cut out some weight.
No,
That I guess you can't cut out weight because you need balancing.
yeah, and I think those weren't, people are really particular right now about Apple keyboards, or still are. I think those were like they weren't butter,
Butterflies.
they were something in that
They were
area,
butterflies for sure, but the fabric covering I think made them less bad because you can't get crumbs in them.
right? Um, the thing about that keyboard that I remember, again, people even today accuse Apple of being form over function, but like you remember that the smart folio, no,
Smart keyboard.
smart keyboard. It was just smart keyboard.
Yeah,
Okay,
Smart Keyboard Folio was the other one that came out alongside the 2018 one.
okay. But so that one, when you folded it as a smart cover and it was had the hump for the keyboard, right? Like that wasn't the prettiest thing in the world, but like it was functional. Like that's one of those instances. Again, it's just like the old iPhone battery case they did that had the hump for the battery. Remember the
Yes.
white one? Yes.
Uh huh.
Again, so Apple's not always form over function. Sometimes, they go the other way.
Now I gotta say, reliability of those original keyboards were just bad. I had so many crap out on me. So
Hmm.
many replaced. Did you have this issue of the smart connector just being? It would just like I'm trying to type and it's like not typing because this connector's bugging out on me.
I don't remember having. I only had one. I don't remember having any noticeable issues with it.
Interesting. Okay. The other thing I appreciated at the time is I could use the big keyboard with the small iPad Pro because it's you just set it on there. Smart
Yeah.
connectors in the same place, magnets all line up, and I did that a fair bit. It's not travel friendly, but since I had both iPads with me, I actually did that a fair bit, and that was kind of fun.
I guess we have to shout out Microsoft for doing this kind of keyboard approach first with the pogo pin connectors or whatever on their Surface Pro because the I
That
do
predated
remember
the iPad Pro.
it did. It did.
Okay,
So gotta shout them out for that. But um
but
I
yeah, the
didn't,
revolution of not needing a battery in the keyboard was huge.
yes, that was big.
Yeah,
That was a big one. And then, of course, the original Apple Pencil, which somehow is still with us today,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
You need an adapter to sync it and charge it. And with the what's that one marketed for right now?
The 11th generation iPad.
Okay, the baseline. Okay,
Hmm.
and you can also use the mag. Does it have magnets for the magnets Apple
It
Pencil?
has magnets to hold it, but not
Oh,
charge.
that's right. So you can't pair a Apple Pencil Pro with it. You can
No.
use a USB-C Apple Pencil, which doesn't have all the features of
Right.
the Apple Pencil.
The pressure
No pressure
sensitivity.
sensitivity. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So your for a full pencil experience, you still need to get the first generation Apple Pencil, which is kind of
Did
crazy.
you ever lose the cap of your Apple Pencil?
I lost the pencil itself. I never lost the cap.
Okay.
But I definitely lost the pencil a few times.
That's funny. Yeah. I never lost the cap. I always liked how that magnetically attached to like the base of the iPad almost, but where the keyboard attached to it almost. Yeah. And
I
I
didn't.
never
Mm,
broke it
yeah,
inside of the connector. People were talking about that. It's like, did that? I don't know if that happened in schools or not. Like if kids were goofing off with those or not.
I think that's also another example of function over form, right? Because that looked goofy, but
It's
it was
very
actually
convenient.
very convenient. Yes, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, no, outside of it rolling off my desk, I really enjoyed that first generation Apple Pencil, and even though I'm not an artist, it was just nice to have.
Yeah. And then I love the fact that we used to have gold iPads. I was all over
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
And that's part of the reason I delayed my 2018 upgrade. They didn't have gold anymore. I was like, okay, I better hold on to this iPad. Got my headphone jack, and I got my
Mm,
gold color, and the
true.
screen technology is basically the same as the second gen. ProMotion, True Tone, all
Yeah.
the like is basically just a new form factor around the same technology in my mind back then.
That does remind me another note on that first gen Pro. Um, I only remember this because I someone on Threads. I was going back and forth with someone. I was in a mood. Um, that was their first variable refresh rate screen. Was the first gen, except it only went up to 60 hertz. So they actually
Hmm.
advertised it as like it can dynamically change its refresh rate based on content. That whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't high refresh rate. But the first gen Pro had that capability, and I think that was the first for an Apple product.
I think so. And the storage maxed out at 256 gigabytes of memory, and now it starts at 256 gigabytes of memory. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, the price has also come a long way since it started at
Yeah,
its $800 price point.
I'm sure something inflation. It's probably comparable ish, sort of. I
Yeah,
don't know,
I
but
mean
yeah.
the 13-inch iPad Pro it starts at $1,500 now. Is that right? Or is
Um,
that the cellular one? That's cellular. Never mind.
cellular 1200, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
1300 for the regular
Okay.
one. So 800 $500 more than the original iPad Pro was for 32 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Which not many people should have bought the two. If you compare the same, okay, here's a more interesting compare. You compare the same storage capacity, 1099 versus 1299. So if storage prices didn't drop drastically like they have, and just look at that.
Yeah.
Um, that's interesting, I guess.
At the time, I had a Surface Pro 3, which was when they jumped to 12 inches or somewhere in that range. It was
Mm-hmm.
the first big one, and people like were really positive about it. And I tried my best to not get an iPad Pro. I'm like, I'm just gonna use this. This is gonna be my iPad Pro, but it's all about the software, man. And it's just like I don't. There wasn't any good, and not to diss on developers, but there just wasn't any good touch software on Windows. Like the benefit of a Windows tablet is, your Windows Win32 apps. It's not the touch stuff, and I just couldn't. Eventually, I broke down and got the iPad Pro, but
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't make it work with the Surface, even with Windows 8, which was really good for tablets in retrospect. Um, just wasn't there.
What was that first configuration you got?
Oh, my uncle gave me a hand me down. So it was small. It was 4 gigs of RAM. It
Oh, I mean
was
for the iPad Pro.
for iPad Pro. I would have gotten the same. I would have gotten the 32.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I definitely didn't spring for 256, so I would have gotten the
No,
32, no cellular, space
there was
gray.
also 128 gigabytes was the middle ground,
I'm pretty sure I got the 32.
and cellular was actually only available at 128 or 256. It was Wi-Fi only for that 32 gigabyte model, which is interesting.
It's
That
a
was clearly a
choice.
business. That was clearly like a business move. It's like, let's offer this no cellular, just Wi-Fi only to try to get these into businesses or something
Mm-hmm.
or schools. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, and it began its 18-month refresh rate from this point on. Every 18 months, new iPad Pro.
Mm-hmm.
So the second generation came out in the summer versus November for the original one. So the second
Yeah.
one, the 10.5, came out in June 2017. Um, and
Yeah.
came out 10.5 and 12.9. And the 10.5 was really the star of the show with this update
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because there was a 9.7 that was introduced in March of the following year, and that introduced
Which,
True Tone.
yeah,
I think that was the only hardware change from the original to 12.9.
I believe so.
But this
Mm.
10.5 inch iPad Pro, in
Yeah.
my mind, is the very best home button small form factor iPad, iPad, the 9.7 inch kind of size class. It had the really nice side bezels that are super thin, thinner than what we have even today on the iPad
Mm-hmm.
Pros. Super thin side bezels. It's got the chin forehead, but it was just the perfect little iPad. I love that guy. I still have the 10.5. It's one of my favorite iPads.
I wish we would have gotten the solid state home button. Like I feel like that iPad was just begging for it that generation that we got on like what
Yeah,
iPhone 7, iPhone 8, but yeah, I would have loved to have seen that.
I mean, my home button is still. I don't know. It still works great. I don't know. More robust now. But they doubled the storage, 64
Mm-hmm.
gigabytes all the way up to 512. So every storage tier was doubled. 779 for the 10.5 with cellular. So I forget how much it was without cellular. Um, and yeah, they also introduced those leather sleeves with the second
Yeah.
generation. This answered the question for many: where do you put your Apple Pencil? In the $150 Apple leather sleeve, which, in retrospect, very inexpensive leather sleeves. If you compare them to other fashionable items Apple sells occasionally in limited quantities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really love the leather sleeve. I had both the 10.5 and 12.9 as we talked about, I think earlier in
Yeah.
this episode. I'm trying to remember if it's pre-show or not. But yeah, I had both the 10.5 and 12.9 iPad Pros for second generation because I had to have the same display technology in both iPads because that would just bother
Mm-hmm.
me too much.
Sure.
And I got this sleeve for one of them, and it's like, oh, this is really nice. So I got it for the other one in black. Felt really good in the hand. Worked great in the bag. Just having them both in there like that with the pencils. I think I had two pencils. I'm trying to remember if I just shared a pencil between the two iPads or not.
That's crazy. That's the one line I haven't crossed. Well, I guess I can. I have a USB-C and a Pro, but you would think I'd have multiple Pros floating around, but for some reason that's like that's a line I
I
won't cross.
I think I had two Apple Pencil twos because I thought one was lost and then showed up a week later. So that's the most I got there. But I gave one of my
So
Apple Pencil twos away to a family member.
So did the 10.5, was there a 64 gigabyte version? Am I
Yeah,
remembering it?
64, 256, and 512.
I think I would have gotten the 64. I definitely went 10.5. I didn't go 12.9. Wi-Fi only. Um, got the keyboard that went with it. It
Mm-hmm.
still had my Apple Pencil. And if I'm not mistaken, that was one of the few times where the iPad hardware lines up with the iPad software, because they announced that one at WWDC alongside iOS 11, which was like our every other year big iPad update.
Yeah,
So I think that was the drag and drop update where we got drag and drop and maybe the
that
Files app.
sounds right. Yeah, it was announced on my birthday, June 5th, 2017, at
Yep.
WWDC.
Yep.
A10X.
Hmm.
Support for HDR video. This was the thing. So this thing support HDR video at 120 hertz, but people were making a fuss that this isn't HDR capable display. Um, which sure, but it's the effect kind of worked. I think it was what was 600 nits. I
Sounds
mean,
right. Yeah.
yeah. So some I could see it, but it's definitely not as good as HDR these days where on your phone you go in
Yeah.
HDR photo and you're like blinding your eyes at night. Um
Oh my god. One of my last videos I almost did in HDR and I chickened out. like I don't know what I'm doing enough to
People
yeah.
sometimes people have strong feelings on HDR. Like a lot of people hate it like vehemently. I enjoy it. Like I just think it looks more true to life, but
I think you need to know what you're doing. That's where I landed like cuz I felt like everyone was going to complain, yeah, it's burning their eyes and it's like I don't have the knowledge right now to properly color grade this or whatever. So um, I do remember that was one of the. I eventually sold that iPad, that 10.5, but I had what I think was a common issue of like a white spot above the home button.
yes, this was a thing. Um I thought this happened. So the Logitech charging stand, I think, caused some issues on iPads with their displays. My theory is it's charging through the smart connector,
Hmm.
and that charging made the displays unhappy. And I got some white spots on. I'm trying to think if it was just one of my two iPad Pros, but I definitely got some like remnants of your charging here. I'm not sure if it was on the home button side, but I think it was towards the side of the smart connector for me.
Okay, I remember that was definitely getting it switched out at least once for that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's
And
funny
then
you mentioned
this,
charging.
yeah, well, this one supported fast charging with USB-C bricks. So this was the first to do that. And then also, this is the weird Apple product, right? Where everyone said lightning cables cannot support fast data transfer speeds. Everyone said this. They said this up until the latest iPhone that would never that was on Lightning, and that was the reason they couldn't do fast transfer. But this
Hmm.
iPad Pro, second generation, had transfer speeds with a USB C to Lightning cable. I'm trying to remember what the cable was.
It
Um,
supported USB 3, right? So
right,
the
yeah, it's word USB
port.
3 speeds. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it. If it was some chip in the iPad or some weird thing. I don't know. No one really has a good answer for that because everyone's like, this is a weird thing that isn't real. Like they can't do this with the iPhone.
Did you ever buy one of those super janky Lightning flash drives?
I definitely did. I definitely did. I'm
I
trying to
still have
remember.
one floating
Yeah.
around here somewhere, and I just never got it to work very well at all because they couldn't work well. The support in the
No.
OS wasn't really there.
No, definitely not. My
Yeah.
favorite flash drives these days are the ones that are dual USB C and USB A. That's like a thing where
Hmm.
one side's A, one side's C. I think that's such a brilliant idea for the modern era we live in.
I'm a little upset that USB 4 isn't more ubiquitous at this point. Like, I feel like we're still stuck on like
USB
USB
4 is the
3.
thing. Is that Thunderbolt?
It is technically yes, Thunderbolt,
Okay.
but it's been a thing for like 5 years, I think. Uh, I mean, they advertised the port on the iPad Pro as Thunderbolt 3 slash USB 4.
Hmm.
Um, but there's still so much 3.1 Gen 2, 3.2 Gen, like even Apple stuff. I just feel like there's USB 4 happened and like I guess it's too expensive to implement, but like no one cares.
And Marco Armenta thinks they should just use USB 3.5. So you have thin cables alongside faster data transfer. Yeah, but good luck with that one. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, the thing with USB 4 is the cables are so expensive and thick or whatever. I guess.
Yeah, I just want a USB 4 flash drive. I don't even need it. I just want it to exist.
Yeah. So anything else on that second gen? To be honest, the second gen is one of my favorite gens of the iPad Pro.
I mean,
It's a very soft spot in
ProMotion.
my heart. ProMotion, True Tone, that
Yeah.
great design of that 10.5 was the
It's
best.
just
It's first class iPad design for the home button era, and it had the gold
getting
color. We got rid of the fun gold
the gold
colors after
color.
this.
We
Yeah.
did, and the headphone jack.
Did it
Um,
have gold and rose gold? I'm trying to remember if they had two different golds.
I only
Oh, it did.
rose.
It did. So the 12.9 only had regular gold.
Okay,
I'm looking now. The 10.5 had gold and rose gold as color options, which
gotcha.
is wild to me. There were two gold. I got the regular gold, of course. But yeah.
Of course, but so ProMotion though, showing up on the iPad Pro first started. I don't know if we can call it a pattern, but there are a lot of times technologies will kind of debut in the iPad Pro. Um, like we see
Mm-hmm.
this happen every so often before they start spreading across the line. And I think this was, I guess, True Tone would be another example. I think that was the first in the iPad Pro. So
Or the
it,
Mac,
yeah,
I think.
well, I don't,
And the M chips debuted in the iPad, of course. Basically, they are the
base,
X chips. The X chips
right.
became the M chips, basically.
So in some ways, the iPad Pro is almost like a proving ground or
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's a low volume ish product for them to test new display
Hmm.
technologies. That's where
Yeah.
the mini LED display first debuted. That
Hmm.
eventually came to the Mac. Mini LED, is that
Yep.
right? And
Hmm.
then
True Mac
OLED
now.
started on the iPad Pro, and oh wait, it's still not on the Mac, is it? Tandem OLED.
No, nope, nope, nope.
The
We're still,
the chemically treated nanotexture started on the iPad Pro, and is now on the MacBook Pro. Um, yeah,
you
a lot of stuff starts there.
a lot of things. So it's always interesting to watch that stuff happen as well. But
And then the whole trickling down of iPad Pro features to regular iPad features.
mhm.
Originally, Pro meant keyboard and Apple Pencil, and bigger size too. I
Yeah,
think.
for a minute we thought Pro meant 12.9 inch, and then that
Yes.
9.7 showed up, which I assume was supposed to be the iPad Air 3, and that they just, hey, let's make it a Pro.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, Pro really. I mean, it kind of means bigger. Originally meant bigger keyboard and the Apple Pencil.
Stylus, yeah.
Yeah, and that eventually came down. Everybody can get a keyboard and Apple Pencil now. And Pro kind of shifted its meaning a
Hmm.
bit. Pro today, I guess, means what does it mean?
Best. To
The
me,
best.
Pro across all their lines just means best hardware. Because I mean, how do you have
Yeah, it's the
AirPods
nicest. Yeah.
Pro, right? What's Pro
Right.
about AirPods? Nothing. I mean, they're nice. This is the nicest hardware. Period.
Yeah. Hearing aids are Pro, I guess. I don't know. No idea. But yeah, they're the nicest.
Hmm.
And yeah, the thin design now. Um, it's funny that it should be the Air, but it's the Pro. But yeah, it's just the nicest. Because yeah, a lot of things Apple realized, hey, every iPad would benefit from this.
We could sell a keyboard to every iPad user, not just the pro ones. Let's.
Yeah, but the nicest keyboard will sell to the pro people.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah. So some 18 months later, October
Yes.
30th, 2018, was the unveiling of the third generation iPad Pro, both in
Legendary.
a both an 11 inch and 12.9. It's funny because the first three generations, the smaller iPad Pro changed its screen size every single time. So when you look at like generations, this is the first generation 11 inch, but the
Oh.
third generation of the
Yes.
big 12.9. I just find
That
that
can
funny.
that
I
confuses
just
people.
it's very funny to me. But this is a legendary design. This is the
Hmm.
design most a lot of people just they bought all in on this one and they're still using it because it's a great iPad even today.
Hmm.
USB-C was the big win for a lot of people. Um, now, I never owned this iPad.
No.
I never did
How
because
how's
in my
how is that possible?
because in my mind, this was a downgrade in many ways. So, number one, we got rid of the headphone jack.
Hmm.
These are the days where I was recording podcasts with the Zoom recorder, and the way I did that was headphone jack out of the iPad into the Zoom recorder, and not having a headphone jack made it worse. There were options, of course, with USB C.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing is, I love my Logitech charging stands. Those were not a thing. We now have the magnetic charging stands, but that was not really a thing back then. Um, got rid of the gold. I love the gold.
Hmm.
All my Apple devices were in gold. I had the gold iPhone SE 2 at the time, which I used up until the iPhone Mini came out. Um, I used that phone for so many years. Um, and in my mind, this iPad Pro is like, okay, you're using the same exact screen technology, ProMotion, True Tone, wide color gamut, HDR, all that stuff was pretty much identical, just a new form factor with USB C and no headphone jack. So, and a different keyboard design. So I was like, I don't need this one. I'm gonna pass. And what eventually got me to upgrade to this form factor was the new keyboard that came out in 2020. So
Hmm.
I ended up with that 2020 uh, iPad Pro the year before the M1 came out because of the Magic Keyboard, that floating cantilever design.
Hmm.
That inspired me to buy a whole new iPad, the keyboard, if
Do
you believe it or
you
not. Yeah.
do you remember rumors of the 2018 once the like the CAD design started leaking, we saw the smart connector moved from the edge to the back, and there was so much confusion. People were saying, "Oh my God, Face ID is only going to work in one orientation. We're only going to be able to use the keyboard in portrait." Like we were so confused as to what they were doing there. Um, because yeah, up until then it had been on the edge. And it weirdly has lasted on the back for this long, which obviously limits um, its usefulness to third parties. I don't think third parties are really even trying at this point, but um,
No, I mean, the only smart connector thing was the Logitech charging base. And I
officially.
love the fact,
Mhm.
yeah, officially. Were there unofficial products I was not aware of back then?
Not back then. I'm just thinking now of these
Mm-hmm.
charging stands that are out that like charge, but like
They're going through some weird protocol that Apple doesn't really approve of, I think.
where it's like they pretend to be keyboards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, and the thing I loved about the Logitech base, even though I think it might have destroyed my screens a little bit, I still love those things. It's
Hmm.
such a clean setup. You set up your two
Hmm.
iPads. Well, I had two iPads. Set them side by side on the desk.
Hmm.
You have the Bluetooth keyboard in front. It just there's no wires anywhere. You just set it down. It's charging. And I had a Logitech keyboard as well that had two inputs. I just like could hit function button to change from first iPad to second iPad. So I was like working at my desk with the big iPad and small iPad next to each other, copying pasting between the two, and it was like this is before we had multi Windows support and all that stuff. Just get a second iPad. That's how you do your multiple windows. Um, so I did that, and then, but it was such a clean setup. And the thing I loved about it is you could use a single product across both big and small iPads.
Mm-hmm.
These days, all the charging stands, they're magnetically attaching to a certain size class of iPad. I wish you could just have one thing that worked across all your iPads. That's bothers me a little bit.
I remember. So I jumped on the 2018, I think, pretty quickly. Getting rid of the home button made it feel like when you had it on the keyboard, it felt like a laptop because
Oh,
without the home button just hanging out there. Yeah.
that was the other thing I just want to bring up. At the time, I also in my head was like, okay, the gestures are the big thing with this 2018 iPad. And for those that don't remember, those gestures work on the second generation iPad. There is a gesture area. You can do the swipes with a single finger. You basically do a an L shape for the swipe. If you swipe up from the bottom and do an L shape, the same gesture bar does the same exact thing on the second gen iPad. So I was like, okay, so I can still do the gestures, the same exact ones that this new one does. It's like it was such a weird thing because this is exciting new hardware, right? But I was like very stubborn in like digging my heels into that second gen iPad Pro.
I
Yeah,
think that's still true of the if you have like an iPad 9 or 8 today, like it
yeah, I'm sure it
has
is. Yeah,
you can still do that.
yeah, the
Um,
gestures work. Yeah, and then you of course have the four finger things that have always
yeah.
worked.
I remember also, like you said, we got USB-C, and it was so not confusing, maybe disappointing, right? You put a USB port on there, and we didn't get support for storage until the following
No,
year. So we had
and
this
this
USB
was
port. Yeah.
yeah, and it took me a while to upgrade because also the dock situation was a bit iffy at first. So we're now at a good point with Thunderbolt docks and Thunderbolt support. When
Hmm.
that was added with the M1 generation, right?
Yep.
So with that, that made things reliable. So I can reliably record podcasts from the iPad because of the Thunderbolt docks. Now I can do it before with just straight USB-C to headphone adapters. That's probably the most reliable way in the USB-C era, I'd say, versus
Yeah.
docks. But
Um, and then yeah,
but
Face ID. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, Face ID.
Face ID was
Wild, right?
it was obviously worked in any orientation, um,
Does
which
not
was
do that on the
nice.
iPhone.
Still doesn't do that on the iPhone.
Yeah, I'm trying.
But
Let's
that
see. Oh
was
wait. Is this my watch unlocking? I can't even tell. I mean, it's working for me sideways now, but I can't tell if my
okay.
Apple Watch is unlocking it. I don't think it is. They may have added that with one of the recent iPhones. The
I'm
upside
still
down, though.
shocked. I am shocked that
Upside down does
after
not work.
okay, so we still have that. Um, but after what is it, 7 years? No other iPad has Face ID. Like this is not trickled down
It's
to the air like it
expensive, as
should
Apple will
have.
tell you.
I mean, iPhone 6e has 16, excuse me, has it. It's
Yeah,
they figured it out there.
that's true.
Um,
Now, I must say, I love the Touch ID in that side button on the iPad. I think that's brilliant. I kind of want that in the Pro as well.
it
In
my only
addition to
problem
Face
with it,
ID.
sure. My only problem is it just kind of breaks. If you're going for the laptop illusion, it kind of breaks it because you got to reach up to the side of the iPad to unlock it.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
kind
people
of.
have talked about Face ID being brought to the Mac for a while,
Hmm.
and distance is a real thing. I don't think people really fully realize. I'm not sure an iMac would work that well. Like, it was going to ask you to sit closer frequently, I think, for that to function.
I think I think there are a lot more. There's a lot more they have to consider. I think with the Mac, be it an iMac or a MacBook Pro, than maybe they've had to with the phone and the tablet. Um, I mean, I think they'll get there, but it's just
Yeah.
like you said. Um,
If they ever bring
it's
Face ID to the Mac,
mm,
they better enable Touch ID support from the keyboard on the iPad at the same time. Like let's be friends. If you're getting
Hmm.
Face ID, we should get the Touch ID keyboard to work on the Mac, on the iPad. I mean, because that's been
Yeah,
bothering me since they introduced the Touch ID keyboard for Mac. That I can't pair that with my iPad and authenticate that way. It's the most bonkers thing in the world that we've had this keyboard for how many years and it still doesn't work with iPad.
I hope. I feel like they're not, but I'm hoping whatever new peripherals they're rumored to be creating are actually considering, Macs and iPads.
They should have the
But
AirPods approach of keyboards
yeah,
and trackpads.
I'd
Like
buy one today.
it's so bonkers that like an Apple keyboard, you have to if you're using it with your Vision Pro, you have to like repair it for your Vision Pro. If you want to then pair it with your Mac, you have to go back and forth and pair it over and over again.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, like we got the rounded corners. Like the screen was essentially the same, but we got the rounded corners,
Mm-hmm.
which was nice. This was the first iPad for me where I really started envisioning using this as a primary device. Like I'd always had an iPad, um, and I had the 12-inch MacBook around this time too, so that was kind of my daily driver, so to speak, personal device. But this was the hardware. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see how it could happen with this. Like this could to do that work. Um, it just they were a little slower with some of the updates than we would have liked, but
Yeah.
again, like this was what 20 what year was this?
2018.
2018. And then so it would
And
have been the following
these are
WWDC.
mhm.
Go ahead.
These are the first iPads to have tap to wake screens.
Yes.
So you can just tap it. I get. It's funny that I just point out the tidbit. I kind of forgot it did that. Do you do that ever? I
I
kind of
actually
forgot.
do. I do it a lot
Okay.
because I use it on my desk a lot, my iPad.
Yeah,
So,
because I always just tap the keyboard to wake it up, the space bar.
hmm.
I knew at the back of my head tap to wake is a thing on the phone, but actually on the phone you just kind of lift it and it wakes up. On the iPad, um, does that work too? Just lifting it?
Oh, I'd
I
have
guess
to
you're tapping the screen when you
interpret
lift
it.
it most of the time.
Mm.
But yeah, tap the wake is a thing. You may have forgotten that's a thing because you may just hit the keyboard or hit the sleep button. But yeah, that's a thing.
And the following summer, we got our first iPad OS.
iPad OS 1. No, that's on 9 it started, I think, right?
13.
Oh, it was iOS 9 that had the weird split screen thing, right?
Yes, the pull down
That
slide
pulled
over.
out, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, 13 was the first one for iPad
And
OS.
yeah, and I remember again, we were so iOS 9, iOS 11, and iPad OS 13 were iPad heavy releases. Every one of those phone releases was rough, if you remember. Like they couldn't
Mm-hmm.
do both at the same time. I remember iOS 13. Remember that was the year they shipped 13.1 before
Mm-hmm.
13 or something. Like 13 came out on like a Saturday.
Yep.
It came in hot, man. It was interesting, but yeah, iPad OS gave us unlocked the USB port for flash drives and really kind of helped this hardware come to life. We got multiple app instances and stuff like that. So I think it unlocked local storage in the Files app,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
you could actually like store files. And that was a big one for me for again making this a primary device. If I couldn't replicate my same documents structure that I had on my Mac,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a no go. But that was a big one for
Yeah.
me.
No, I mean that was huge to just be able to hook up storage to the thing.
Hmm.
And now you can do things like format external drives and all sorts of stuff. Like the Files app has come such a long way since then.
It has, and it still kind of gets a lot of hate in the community because people want it to be Finder. I get that, but like for what it does,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it does it relatively well. I'm not saying it's perfect, but like
Yeah,
it
I mean
does okay.
the document picker thing with third party apps, it's buggy. That needs at some point to just be fixed. I like the overall approach of it. and it's pretty cool that I can have like my Synology thing in the sidebar just through that. But
Hmm.
it needs to be more stable long term.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I totally agree.
yeah.
Um, and then yeah, for accessories, we had Smart Key Portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And it said
Which
even
that was another reason I also didn't want to upgrade to this iPad. I thought I never owned the Folio, but I was like, oh, this is worse than the smart keyboard. Why would I want the Folio? I like having the exposed back of the iPad.
I
Yeah.
remember reading reviews. It was just funny watch. You could just it's one of those things that made me laugh. The original smart keyboard for the original iPad Pro, people complained it left the back open, back and the sides. Okay. Next we get this. Wait, the back is covered. People complain. Sides are, sides are exposed and it's still not a laptop. Then we get the Magic Keyboard, and people complained, "Oh, it's harder to use as a tablet." It's like every year you guys are complaining. You want it to
Mm-hmm.
be more like a laptop, and they do that. They're like, "But how do I fold it back so I can use it as a tablet?" It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you want?
Oh,
Anyway,
my my leather sleeves also, didn't fit as properly in this thing. So that was another downgrade with my
the 11 inch. If you have the 11-inch one, that one still works. I pull it out every so often and use it with
it
my.
still works in that thing?
It still
I should try
works.
it more. I guess yeah, with the magic keyboard might be a little thick for that, but
That would be
just
a little.
naked.
Yeah, naked it still works. I do worry a little bit about the camera island, whatever we're calling it on the Pro. Maybe leaving an indent, but it
Mm-hmm.
fits.
Okay, it's good to know because I still got that leather sleeve. It's good sleeve. Um, yeah, that was such a nice update. That was everyone loved that iPad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did not, but everyone did. I appreciate the design for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still a bit bitter the headphone jack's gone, but I guess when you look at the current iPad Pro, it would have to be gone with this generation at least, with the M4 and
Yeah,
beyond, because it's just too thin now.
when they took it from the iPhone, it's like, okay, I get it. That can kind of sort of
It's
make sense.
it's
But
still on the Mac.
when they took it from the iPad, I'm like, I don't know
It's
about
supposed
that.
to be a productivity device. The Pro, the Mac still has it for good reason.
Do you
I
remember
still would,
around that
yeah.
same time, there was like a survey that went out, one of those Apple product surveys. So was like, so how often do you use your headphone jack on your Mac? I remember someone reporting on that. I'm like, oh
Uh
man, they're
huh.
coming for. Thankfully, that never happened, but this is kind of
Yeah. No, it's such a useful port.
funny.
It's so sad it's gone. Just for I mean, DJs would use the iPad as a thing. A little
Hmm.
harder.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's another 18 months pass. This is if anyone's wondering that it's weird the iPad's only updated every no, it's just how it's always been for iPad Pro. March 18th, 2020, fourth generation iPad Pro. Uh A12Z. So we got a little bit better processor, but not much. The big
Hmm.
thing here was the camera system on an iPad, of course.
Yes.
We got the ultra wide camera and we got the LiDAR sensor, if you
Hmm.
remember that. And the RAM increased from 4 to 6 gigs on lower end capacities. And the 1 terabyte model stayed at 6 gigabytes. So apparently, prior to this, when the 1 terabyte model had more RAM and still did with this model, which is a trend that's been a thing for a while where they changed the RAM a bit. But the big thing in this was the Magic Keyboard, which
Yes.
came out in May, so a little bit after the iPad Pro came out. And this was a revolution. This
Hmm.
was got me so excited. This Magic Keyboard. This is a weird. This is the COVID era. There was like a 10-minute video about this Magic Keyboard, and they were just Federici who was introducing this one.
Federighi did it. Yep.
Yeah, he's just marveling at the floating design, and I was too. It's like that's cool. And it had a trackpad, which is the big breakthrough here. Is finally we have trackpads all the time on the iPad.
I don't even remember if this was rumored to be coming. Maybe it was. a lot of times there would be rumors of the iPad getting like a Mac feature, and I would get concerned because again,
Mm-hmm.
if all we're gonna do is recreate Mac OS, like why are we doing any of this? Like, if I wanted a Mac, I'd buy a Mac. That whole thing. So for me, it was seeing this accessory, but then also seeing the pointer implementation that they took time to
Mm-hmm.
think of something new, to try something different. Like that, it's always
Mm-hmm.
exciting when they do that.
Yeah, this I loved the circle that morphed into different things when some of our text does that. In
Hmm.
Ferrite, it's custom implemented to turn into this huge selector when you hold down Option, which I love.
Hmm.
Um, I was slightly saddened when it turned into a pointer with the. Well, was it the most recent OS that they did that?
That's 26. Yeah.
Yeah, 26. But it still morphs in Ferrite and stuff. It can still do that stuff. Does it morph with text?
I think it turns into an I-beam. I don't know off the top of my head, but I would think it would.
It does. Yeah, so it does morph with text still, um, which is cool.
Yeah. That makes
I
me
mean,
sad too, though.
I say it's funny. I say that that's a revolutionary thing. The Mac, as I guess, morphs with text too. I didn't really realize that until I just tried it. It's less grace. It's less fluid and cool than the way the
Hmm.
iPad does it. But morphing to text is, I guess, a common thing. But the morphing of it in third-party apps is very cool. The way developers and the way it can magnetize to icons is also a very iPad thing that I really appreciate.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of people hated that, but I thought it was fun and unique, and yeah, it was very very iPad-y. Um, and if I'm not mistaken, this came because it just wasn't just the Magic Keyboard. It was iPad OS now supports, you know, mice and trackpads, and so
Because
you just
before
kind of
this, the Citrix
yeah.
X1 mouse was, if you're an iPad Pro user from way back when, you probably own a Citrix X1 mouse. And this worked with the Citrix app. It also worked with Jump Desktop, and that's why I was a Jump Desktop user back in the day, where you could use the Citrix X1 mouse with Jump Desktop and then have a full um,
Hmm.
mouse for your Mac or whatever that you're remoting into. And this was a brilliant, brilliant thing that was somehow a supported accessory over Bluetooth, and yeah, it felt so cool. And then one day it's like, oh, we just have mice now that'll just work. It's awesome.
Do you remember though in the so the next step after that was in iPad OS 13 proper, we had the accessibility option for
That's
mice.
right. A year before this happened, we had accessibility of this
Yeah.
trackpad thing.
We were all just kind of rocking that, as mouse support, like turning this thing on. It was janky,
It was
but
very janky. It did the
it
job,
sort of
sort of.
worked. Um,
mm-hmm.
yeah. So obviously, I mean, I skipped the 2020. I just went for the keyboard. Um, it seems like a fine iPad though.
Yeah, I mean, the goal of this iPad was, if you didn't have an iPad yet for the 2018 design, this got you in the door with the Magic Keyboard.
I feel like we should we call the A12X and A12Z the M0? Like, should we just rename these?
I mean, it kind of is. Um,
Sometimes I
because it
want to
didn't
be that guy, who's like, when the Mac has the M5. Oh, you mean the A18X or whatever? I don't know.
didn't the Mac development kit run on an A12Z?
Hmm. The
Yeah,
original ARM transition kit they sent out, I think it was in a Mac Mini,
Mac Mini. Yeah.
ran full Mac OS, which only heightened the calls of why doesn't the iPad run Mac OS?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the chip can do it. I mean, thermals
Yep.
are a little different, but
A little different, but the MacBook Air doesn't have any
it,
heating thing, right?
it doesn't. But I think it has a different thermal. See, because the iPad, there's a
There's
screen head
no
on there,
vents.
right?
There's no vents.
There's,
On
I
the
mean,
The
I just
keyboard has holes where air
yeah,
can get out of the MacBook Air.
and I just feel like if your processor's not right behind your screen, you can probably run it faster versus like I feel like just
you
everything being so compact, it can't have as much of as wide of a thermal envelope as even the
think
Air,
we're
in my
you think we're getting
opinion.
the vapor chamber next time? That's been a rumor.
That's I could see that. Yeah,
It could be a big vapor chamber in the iPad. I wonder
I'd
if
be down
size
for it.
improves. Yeah, how big it is. I don't know. But yeah,
Um,
some
mhm.
18 months later, April 20th. Wait, this breaks the cycle. This breaks the cycle.
2021.
This was
Whoa.
a year later. This was April 20th, 2021.
Huh,
And it was
you're right.
March 2021 for the 2020. So this is
You're
the one and
right.
only instance, I think, of the 18-month cycle not being true, which, COVID was weird. So let's just, you know, I
Yep.
think I think mostly they wanted to get the Magic Keyboard out, so they had to get a new iPad out with it. And so yeah, the M1 came out April 2021. I did a year-over-year upgrade because, of course, I had to get the M1. 'Cause this
Yep.
was this is a very exciting update, the M1 iPad Pro. Um, did this predate the MacBook Air or no? I think the MacBook Air came out earlier, right?
The MacBook Air, those first M1 Macs were winter 2020, like
Okay.
November
Yep.
2020,
Yeah. Okay.
something like that.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So, um,
So yeah, this was another big, in retrospect, a big leap for iPad. I feel like for iPad Pro.
you know, there's an alternate timeline where the M1 debuted in the iPad Pro in like June versus them coming out in October on the Macs. I wonder how close they were to like getting it out the door with the iPad first. I don't know.
That- so I actually, I guess I have a small story on this for this iPad, which I got when the M2 came out. For just to be clear, um,
Mm-hmm.
so this was around the time I had been using my iPad a lot during COVID. Again, I want to make this my main device, and um, I was just frustrated they weren't adding external display support. That was the thing. I
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to watch a lot of videos on my monitor, and it was just not. It's just so janky. Some apps
So
do
janky.
support it. Like I think Hulu did. Like if you plugged it in, it would display the right ratio, but
Yeah.
aspect ratio. But honestly, I remember thinking, no, this is the lowest point in my iPad journey. That I'm like, okay, obviously they're not taking this seriously. I'm gonna save a bunch of money. I'm gonna wait for this rumored 14-inch MacBook Pro, and that's just gonna be my one device. Um, and then two things happened. Um, the next year, again, this was another hardware came first, then the software came. Next year, we got external display support on the M1 with iPadOS 16. And then the MacBook Pro that came out, the 14-inch, wasn't exactly what I wanted. I wanted the old design, just 14 inches. And this was thicker and heavier and uglier and kind of turned me off the whole thing. So if there's a chance that if that MacBook Pro had not been such a, in my opinion, design regression, like
Mm-hmm.
I may have left the iPad.
Hmm.
But but here we are.
Because people
Things
loved that
going on.
redesign of the MacBook Pro with all those ports.
I did not. I did not. I want I would still, if they want to do the 2016 MacBook Pro, like if to me just doing that with thin bezels, just do that. That's what I wanted. I'm the only one, but whatever.
Probably. Yeah.
Anyway, back to the M1 though.
Yeah, and the M1. Um, so M1 chip. We
Yes.
got 5G connectivity.
Mhm. Very
Cool.
important. Yep.
Awesome. Thunderbolt 3 slash USB 4,
Mhm.
which that was amazing. The jump up from USB-C to that, like opening up Thunderbolt docks, which are much more reliable than the
Yep.
USB-C docks. External display output up to 6K resolution. The RAM jumped up to 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM, which we're still at today at 16 gigabytes and now at 12 for the other ones.
This was the first time they
Um,
told us about it.
right, where we didn't have to go splunking for it. And the 12.9-inch had that XDR display with mini LEDs, the
Hmm.
liquid retina display, and that was a huge deal. It did make this iPad heavier at
Hmm.
12.9 and thicker, I believe.
Yep, it's a pound and a half back up to the original iPad weight,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is not ideal, but it's
It was
still
it was
a
a
very
nice
good display.
display. Yeah, it's a
Hmm.
great display. I still have this iPad. I never sold it because trade-in values are so terrible. It's like this is a great iPad. Still, I'm not getting rid of this thing.
Of course, pretty much immediately after it came out, people started complaining about blooming. Um, which I mean, sure, it's a thing. It was
It
never
still
meant.
looks great.
Yeah,
It
it
never
never
really
bothered
bothered
me.
me. Even at night, you see the mouse and you see the blooming around. It's like I don't care. This still looks freaking amazing with all the perfect darks around it. Like,
And it was remember, it was always more exaggerated in pictures. That's the thing. Right? When
mm-hmm.
people would post like, "Oh, how terrible this is," and it just always looked worse than it was in reality. Um, anyway, but that was kind of ruined that launch a little bit. But it, yeah, again, still a very very good display.
Yeah, this is what's on the MacBook Pros these days.
Hmm.
Same display tech. It's
We
the
also
same display tech in my monitor now. I've got from Sony. Um,
This was also the debut of Center Stage.
was it
It was. This was their first
okay?
Center Stage product.
I forgot about that. I thought that might have hit with the M2 or something.
And that came in the M1 and then quickly, and I actually quickly spread to the entire iPad line and then has kind of gone from there over the years. But it
Okay.
was in this M1 first.
Hmm.
I mean, so the M1 though, like I said, I when the M2 came out, I got a deal on the M1, so I grabbed that, and that kind of just became my primary machine. And this is where I started creating content on this machine. Um,
Yeah.
it's near and dear to my heart.
The M2 is when you said you did that. Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up
Right. Yeah.
I picked up both an 11
Oh.
inch
Yep.
M2, but then I
Mm-hmm.
picked up a M1 12.9.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that M1 was special. I love that display.
Hmm.
It was heavy, but it was beautiful.
I feel like
And
the complaints about the camera positioning really started to get louder really around COVID, but
mm-hmm.
people complaining, why isn't the camera on the long side? And it never, I guess I don't take a ton of video calls personally, so it never bothered me a ton, but it is interesting they let it stay where it was for so as long as they did.
Yeah. Yeah, they went M4's when they moved it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, iPad 10 first, or that strange. It was like
That's right.
they did it on
And
the
then
wrong
there's all that talk about oh the Apple Pencil can't go there because that's what the camera is,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like no, they can figure it out. They're smart
Yeah.
people. You
And
can
well,
have
you
both
know,
magnets and a camera up there.
mm-hmm. Although, I mean, the camera isn't centered.
Oh, it's off centered a little bit, isn't
It
it?
is it's off center. I mean, it's close enough to get the job done, but it is
I
technically off
really
center.
yeah. You don't look at the camera enough to like you can
Right.
see it a little bit. Yeah. The M2 added a
Yes.
groundbreaking feature in October of 2022, some 18 months later.
Mm.
Apple Pencil Hover.
Oh, jeez. I thought you were gonna say ProRes recording.
That is a thing in here, isn't it? Yeah, in ProRes video, yeah.
Still a thing.
Apple Pencil Hover. Now, Apple
Yes.
Pencil Hover, I never had an M2, but I have it now with the M4, the Hover. It is low key one of the coolest features out there, I'd say. I mean, it's for the Apple Pencil. It really brings the magic to it. I'd say in many ways, it's just like it's such a perfect fit.
Mm-hmm.
It also makes the sidecar. Is sidecar the thing where you can use your Mac display on your iPad?
Yep.
Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
It makes that 1,000 times better because with hover, you can now move your mouse from your Mac with the Apple Pencil, and you can move it with hover, and then you can click it by just tapping the screen. It's great. Just much worse without the Apple Pencil hover being
I
there.
I remember at the time because yeah, everyone poo pooed that feature, but I remember watching a video by like an actual artist who was like, "Man, I've been waiting years for Apple to do this because like I guess the Wacom tablets and the art
Yeah.
tablets have had that feature.
Yeah, from an
For
art
some time.
perspective, you can see what you're about to do before you do it, which is
Yeah.
brilliant.
So it wasn't may not have been for all of us, but for the people who use it, it was actually a legit feature.
And we're still all unsure why this doesn't work on the M1. What hardware thing? No one really knows what hardware thing. It's the same Apple Pencil,
Hmm.
same Apple Pencil 2. No one knows what changed with the M2 to enable this at all.
Yeah, they just said it was the M2. Didn't say how. Just somehow magically the M2. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think what else. Yeah, we got the ProRes recording. Was that it?
That's it.
M2.
Same camera design, all that's the same.
Okay.
Now, did you ever use the pros as recording from an iPad?
Um, Here and there, I will grab a shot with the iPad. I toy with the idea. 'Cause I never seriously toy with it though, because I mean iPhones are just so much better camera. Like it's not even
They're so much better.
like I feel like I
You have
could
more
just use an iPad.
storage. You have more storage in the iPad.
Yeah, and it would. I mean, it would be nice to just record in Final Cut and just have it drop there without having to move it.
Sure.
But uh, I don't know. I just the benefits of the iPhone are just too many. They outweigh that
I
benefit.
I
So.
just I want an insanely good front-facing camera to record from the iPad. That would be the thing. You do
Hmm.
your videos in Final Cut, and if you had like a crazy high quality front-facing cameras, you could see the live preview as you're recording and all that. I think that would be actually pretty nice for content creators.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned they've lost interest in camera use cases on the iPad just because all the years of you taking concert videos with your iPad, boomer or whatever, that. Like I feel like they
Yeah,
just
well, they've removed the ultra wide. That's gone.
they didn't.
The M4 is when they got rid of that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't give us the any upgrade to the front camera on the M5 like I was hoping they would.
No, I mean,
Um,
hopefully the M6 or 7 add the new 12, 18 megapixel, whatever it is, from the
mhm.
iPhones. 'Cause
And
that's a good camera. I really like that camera on the Air, the front facing.
I still want visual intelligence on the iPad. I don't care. Like it
Mm.
should. That's. I mean, you want a use case for the back camera? That's a great one.
The iPad Pro never had the side switch, did it? That was gone before the iPad Pro first generation came out.
I think they got rid of it with the iPad Air or iPad Air 2,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. One of those.
Yeah, I think that's right. Air 2, maybe. Yeah. I love the side switch. Still wish we had that thing today.
It didn't help with the whole it's just a big iPhone
You
thing though.
know, you know, it'd be so good with side switch if you could link that to multitasking, full screen
Okay, yeah,
to
yeah.
your multi-window thing. That'd be such a cool side switch function. You know?
They've added two new buttons to the iPhone in like 2 years. Like they could give us a button. We could
Yeah.
take another button,
Or I like the switch. The switch is nice,
switch.
but
Yeah, however they want to do
button
it.
switch, whatever. You know.
Hmm.
Um. So the next major jump was the M4.
Yes.
So I said the big jumps in the iPad Pro was, you had the original, the 2018, the M1, and now the M4.
Mm-hmm.
Now I would argue the M2 was a breakthrough, revolutionary update, but most would not because it's all internal updates.
Yeah,
Which,
and I
yeah.
mean, it bugs me as an iPad user that spec bumps on like laptops are fine. No one
Mm-hmm.
complains about those, but like a spec bump on an iPad, it's like, oh my god, this is so boring, and like these things need to happen. That's
Mm-hmm.
just how this works, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, in May 2024, we got the M4.
It,
Debuted in this debuted alongside the M2 iPad Air.
yes.
Um, and this was the first Apple device with the M4 chip. Radically thin designs, thinner than the
Yes.
iPhone Air, which is wild to think because the Air feels thinner than these iPad Pro. I don't know what it is, the size. I don't know. Just I hold the Air and I hold the Pro. It just feels thinner, but it's still very thin. Um, Tandem OLED. This is the thing where it's like two OLED displays stacked on top of each other, so they're super bright. We got the ability to have nano texture this generation, which is, I think, amazing, and every iPad should have this, and not just the 1 and 2 terabyte models. Apple. Um, the landscape keyboard camera is there, and we got the base storage doubled now up to 256 as the baseline, going up to 2 terabytes, and super thin and also light,
Mhm.
which it's like the iPhone Air before the iPhone Air, for the iPad. This just feels great in the hand.
And faster because it had there's the copper in the Apple logo, and there's a
Oh,
graphite
that's
sheets, graphite sheets.
that's right for the cooling.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This
And
was also
we got rid of the ultra wide camera, as we said before, which is sad.
this was also a rare, maybe first and only time ever. That was an iPad only event. This was announced at. They
Hmm.
held an event just for iPads, just for these two iPads.
Yeah, it was the Air and then the Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else at this one?
Final Cut Pro 2 and Logic Pro 2 were also
Oh,
announced
okay.
at that same event. Uh, but no, it's just I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we'll ever see another iPad only event. Um,
Never
but it
say
was.
never. When we get that 20-inch iPad one of these days.
I like to think, the supposed CEO in waiting, John Turnus. I think he likes the iPad. I think because he I don't
Mm-hmm.
I'm just projecting here. He announced the M4, but he also announced he did the keynote for the 2018. Like he did that announcement.
Hmm.
So I feel like he has a soft spot for the iPad,
He probably does because it's
but I
fun
don't know.
hardware to make.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
probably like a challenging project for his team, and but they obviously they deliver year after year. So I mean, it's
they do.
but yeah, no, obviously the M4.
And is this one? We also got the new keyboards with this generation too. So the Magic
Yes,
Keyboard second generation came out alongside this, which that was another huge update. It's got aluminum in there, just much better feeling keyboard overall.
yeah, this is the. They also started more clearly naming them. So this is the Magic Keyboard for iPad Pro, and there's also now a Magic Keyboard for iPad Air, um, and then the full Magic Keyboard Folio, um, which is an interesting product. But yeah, that was the keyboard has been we got the function row.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that
I
was
f-
also a big addition.
I feel like whoever used to work at Apple who hated the function row, probably the same team that gave us the touch bar that got rid of it
Mm-hmm.
was clearly a direction they were going, right? Like all those iPad keyboards before that had no function row. They had the touch bar.
Can you imagine if the iPad Pro had a touch bar and its Magic Keyboard? I think I would like that.
I kept wanting them to release a standalone keyboard with a touch bar. Like I
Hmm.
wish they would have done that. It probably would have been $300 or something.
Yeah, I
But
think the touch bar is a cool idea. I never
it
owned one. It seems cool.
it just needed some iteration. Like it is a cool idea.
It
Um,
needed to be, I guess, instead of a touch bar, screens under keys. So the whole top layer, it's a big. All the buttons are have screens on top of them.
I've also heard the theory that they could have also just like shrunk the trackpad a little bit, moved everything down, and put it on top of the function keys. I
Hmm.
think for a lot of nerds, especially programmers who use
They
those
like the
function keys
escape
a
key.
lot,
Well, the escape
yeah,
key.
that was a mistake for
Like
sure.
they could have done a touch bar with an escape key next to it.
Hmm. That would have been easy, I think. But they
Hmm.
also just could have done the touch if they didn't take away the function keys and just added this. Maybe it would have went over better too. But there was
Yeah,
just a lot of negative feeling from getting rid of those keys.
yeah. But
Not
tandem
for me, but
OLED was huge with this generation. Like the 11-inch finally got the good screen because
yes.
that was not there with the M2 either.
Never
That was
got the
such a
mini LED. That's right.
no. So and it got its weight reduced down again because the mini LED was heavy. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. This display, again, I do enjoy rubbing this in the Mac users' faces that this is still the
we
best
still have the
display.
best of luck. Yeah.
They still
I mean, they're
do.
gonna get there one day. Next year
It'll
probably with
probably
the
it'll
and they'll
probably
have
be
a touch
better
screen.
somehow. Yeah, I
Well,
want it to get
they'll have
better.
touch finally.
What an idea.
You
Um, touch and cellular. Can you imagine a computer with a touch and cellular? And yeah, I can't even imagine what that would be like.
can't even imagine. No.
Um, no, I love this thing. Obviously, this is like an iPad Pro that's made for me. I love thin and light, or I hear those two words, I'm there. Basically, that's
Mm-hmm.
that's that's all I need. So, um, I obviously invested a lot in this. I went there exactly.
Thin and
iPhone
light.
Air,
Yep. Yep.
thin and light, but still capable. That is the key. Not just thin and light and like chintzy.
Yes.
Like it still gets the job done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But I love this iPad. I bought the 1 terabyte with cellular, and I have been rocking this is my machine. This
Yeah.
uh this is what I
Yeah.
got.
Mine too. I have the 11-inch, 1 terabyte with the nano texture.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking love it.
Yeah.
I stupidly dropped it face down somewhere and it's got some scratches that I pretend not to see. And I'm desperately hoping the battery gets to a point where I can just swap this out for a new model. But that'll be some time
Yeah.
because they've gotten so much better at battery health these days.
Just keep it
Um,
plugged into a monitor for a while. Like at last I checked, mine is like 89, 88% on this,
okay,
but I
mine's
always
at
have it plugged in.
95% still, which
Okay.
boggles my mind that this thing is still at 95%. Amazing.
Um, yeah, I guess we should maybe touch on because I mean, in between these last two iPad Pros, we did finally get Final Cut and Logic, which
Mm-hmm.
and literally every single iPad Pro review before that would end or have a section about, but until they bring Final Cut, it's
You
not
can't do
Pro.
anything. Yeah, you can't do
Yeah,
anything with it until they have that there.
and then they brought
Now we
it, and
should
it's like,
say LumaFusion has the background export, but
yes,
Final Cut still does not have this feature somehow.
yeah, not sure what they're doing over there, but yeah, it was just a show of, I don't know, like a vote of confidence or something that
Mm-hmm.
Apple went through and released these apps, even though they're a subscription, and of course more so on Final Cut than Logic. Um, doesn't do everything the Mac version did, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Logic is much more feature complete.
and you can move projects between the two. You still can't do that on Final
Final
Cut.
Cut.
You can only
You can
move your
go from iPad to
yeah,
Mac.
but
Yeah.
not backs. But those are pretty big. That was like the big iPad announcement of 2023. It was just that we finally got those apps. So
Mm-hmm.
from a Pro app perspective, it's just Xcode at this
Yeah,
point.
we got playgrounds. That was a big thing back in the day that had so much promise, but
I don't
just
even.
went nowhere. It just
No,
went
no, no,
nowhere. It's not updated
no.
frequently. It it had the promise of like because you can now submit apps to the app store through it, but it continues not to get updated. So your apps that you can submit can't be very full featured. It's just the that app has so much potential to become Xcode Lite. It just
Mm-hmm.
never did.
Makes me
It's
so sad.
it's so
It
sad.
really
It could
does.
have been so much more.
Whenever they do those Swift student challenges, like they always say you can use Xcode or Swift Playground, and like if you're using it up, just like don't on your iPad. Like I used to be a
Yeah.
Swift Playground defender, but like they just don't care. They clearly do not care about this app.
Nope.
Um,
You
so
can use
yeah,
it to learn a little bit with the video game type thing in there, which is cool.
it's just yeah. I want to use it so bad. It's not that far off for me. Just on like side projects, like you, I don't need much.
You can't even add
So like
subscriptions to your apps, which is weird.
can't
That's
do
Apple's main
subscriptions.
business model that they want you to do.
Exactly. You can't do multi-window. Uh,
In-app purchases,
can't do the stupid font loading thing.
you can't do
Um,
watch apps.
so it's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping they're doing something. I don't have a ton of faith. I feel like Xcode is just a huge beast, and they're looking at a different approach to getting it on the iPad and Vision Pro for that matter. Like, um,
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see that, but it's sad right now, the state of that app.
Yeah, it's not great. But yeah, they should do like the Final Cut thing when they have this new baseline thing that they build up.
Mm-hmm. Because iMovie still exists, right? And then they just came out with this more advanced video editor. Do the
Yeah,
same thing.
I guess I should also say the state of iLife and iWork apps is just sad. It used to be such a vibrant updating of all those apps, and now it's like, when was the last time iMovie or GarageBand really got touched?
I
iWork is
think
a little bit more
yeah, I feel
better with
iWork
that.
is a little bit better position. Not like great, but um, and again, I still consider Freeform an iWork app, even though it probably isn't officially. Um,
Yeah, no, that's fair.
but yeah, the iLife apps, yeah, they get like one update a year, maybe.
Maybe,
Maybe.
probably less
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, it's sad because yeah, I remember those keynotes for they spent 30 minutes just talking about the iLife apps.
Mm-hmm.
$29 or whatever.
Yep.
If they were more probably back in the day. I'm trying to
I
remember.
think I never I did I think I bought one version of iWork in a box. Um, I never
I
bought
bought iLife.
iLife.
I think I bought iLife '06 or something. You had the DVD, the burner, or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
I
yeah.
made some of those. iWeb was amazing back in the day. I would love them to make an iWeb for the modern era.
Mm-hmm. Just put
I'm
it on
so
the
sick of
iPad.
sick of Squarespace and all these other things that just they suck on iPad. Like I want Rapid Weaver or iWeb for iPad.
This is one of those cases where I worry Apple's too successful to like do these smaller things like this. Like I feel like I worry that inside Apple the justification to do something now is so high that like you can't they you wouldn't get approved to do something like this.
Or you get approved for 1 or 2 years and then they kill it like clips and
Same.
music memos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like all these random side things.
Feels like that's probably the fate of the when they just came out with the freaking invites app.
Well, that one requires an iCloud Plus subscription. So it has that financial backing to it, at least.
It just
I've
gives
never
me those
used that
vibes.
app. I don't know if how much usage that thing's getting. Yeah. Everyone I start inviting people to birthday parties, I'll do that for kids and stuff. Oh gosh. Well, and then yeah, we're back. We're now at the modern era of the M5 iPad Pro.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
we went M1, M2, M4, and M5.
Mm-hmm.
M3, Apple didn't want to put anything on that. Yeah,
Except the iPad Air.
that's right. And then yeah, M5 spec bump.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to have. Nice to have. But
Nice
yeah.
to have. No reason if you have an M4 to, jump to that, but it's a
Nope.
nice to have. Better external display support, sort of. Um,
Yeah, I guess the iPad Pro story, iPad OS 26 was a major major
mm-hmm.
improvement to what you can do on iPad with just how the OS works with multitasking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
huge.
still worry a bit. It's maybe not as good as a tablet as it used to be, but
Mm.
you know, okay. It I feel like things require a bit more thought and planning to than they used to for me at least. Like,
Full
because you
screen mode works as
it
you'd want it to.
does, it does. I mean, but if you were used to the old multitasking,
The split screen, just dragging and doing the fluid stuff, is less. You can still do it, but
hmm
you're doing it differently.
yeah. So it's just something. It just has my attention. Like it feels like we may be starting to turn the wrong direction, but we'll see. We'll see what happens next year, if anything. Uh, Again, we only get big iPad updates every other year, every 3 years. So
Yeah, right. The TikTok. And then yeah, Apple Pencil Pro is introduced alongside the M4 as well.
yeah,
And
has that
basically a
crinkly
better
edge
Apple Pencil
thing.
2.
It
It's
is.
like it's got the
Squeeze.
squeeze instead of the taps, which I appreciate the squeeze and the haptics. That's all very
Well,
nice.
it has. It still has a tap too, if you preferred that.
It
Um,
does.
and it has the weird. Didn't have to do it like the shadow they create in the Notes app of your your pencil
Oh, I
when you're
really like
drawing.
that. I really like
Yeah,
that actually.
it's a nice touch. Like completely unnecessary, but like very nice touch. I love it.
It's very nice. Yeah, the
hmm
haptics are nice too. There should be more games that use the pencil with the haptics. I think that could be interesting.
I hope they're. I want to see. Speaking of games, I was just thinking about this yesterday. I don't know. Every game I've tried, at least on an external display, is still at iPad ratio. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, because it's like seems like a bit of a waste.
The
But
PlayStation Portal app by Sony will use the full monitor, but that's
okay,
just remote play. But it's nice
gotcha.
if you need a remote play. You can use the iPad app and it'll use your full display.
It just seems like a shame that the M5 will do 120 hertz on a display
Mm-hmm.
and adaptive sync, and like no games would even fill the screen.
Yeah, you can
Essentially,
load up Death Stranding, great game. But yeah, you can't. It won't load up the right display
yeah.
aspect ratio.
So
Yeah.
if I had one wish for the really for the iPad, but for the iPad Pro, like if Apple should focus on one thing, it's external displays, like across the board, because the software, um, I mean, it works, but it's janky. As someone who uses it a lot, I would tell you that
Yeah.
had some problems
Oh,
here.
and then yeah, we can now use external webcams on the iPad, which is cool too. And that also includes hooking up like if you want to import your old home movies, if you have a the video capture cards will work with it and stuff. I really want some developer to make like Elgato made a tool to like you hook up a VHS player to your Mac to like capture your old home videos onto your Mac. I want someone to make that for iPad.
I
There's apps that can do it, but it's not optimized for it.
I think part of that for me is also going to be on Apple because of that stupid legacy limitation. for music and videos, right? Like apps can't add to those libraries on the iPad. Like if you want to get something in your music library or I guess the TV app at this point, like you have to go through your Mac.
TV app too.
I think
You're right. There's no way to open in TV.
so.
Files. The Photos app is where you can put stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, but those
Which
are two
works for
uses
home
for what you're doing.
movies. Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they really need to open up. Let me import music into, like, it's so obnoxious. Like I download something, or what I really want, I want to be able to rip a CD onto my iPad. Like it's so
Mm-hmm.
I we have driver kit.
Mm-hmm.
Let me have someone make a driver kit for a CD burner, or ripper, a reader, or whatever.
I
Let
feel
me
like
Yeah.
so many people are on streaming now. Like whatever the record company was concerned about, like like we're past that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that limitation's still there, but it is obnoxious.
Yeah, because when I buy those limited edition soundtracks that are on CD,
Mm-hmm.
got to pull out a Mac and find a CD drive and hook it up and do the iTunes import thing and iTunes match and all that shenanigans. It's
Mm-hmm.
obnoxious. It's obnoxious. That's the only reason. It's one of the few reasons I need a Mac still. Is, CDs. Yeah. No bueno. That'd be cool also to be able to play Blu-rays on your iPad. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
Uh,
I wish more developers took advantage of Driver Kit. I feel like I don't know if this is true, but I would like to think Logitech could make a mouse configuration app for iPad using Driver Kit
yeah.
to make it maybe less. I don't know how much ability they have to make it less janky, like the scroll wheel stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I like to think they could, at least for firmware updates and whatnot. But I'd love to see them do that.
Right. Yeah, and all the 8-bit controllers. I had to go find Windows to update my 64-bit 8-bit Duo, which that was an adventure trying to run Parallels on my MacBook Air without a copy of Windows. They've streamlined that substantially, where it downloads Windows right within Parallels now, and a free trial on Parallels. I was able to do that for free. In Windows, it would run. It just bugs you. Hey, you should buy a license. Please buy a license. We'll keep
Sure.
working, but please buy a license. Um, do you think Parallels will ever run on the App Store?
Like the iPad App Store.
Yeah,
Um,
be able to run Windows on an iPad through
it
Parallels on the App
feels.
Store.
I mean, I like to think they're going to offer. I think yes, but I think it's going to be not like you would expect, and they're gonna try to do it through the App Store, right? Of like, okay, install Parallels, and then also install the Windows OS app from. It's gonna be something like that, where instead of just being able to download an ISO and do all that, it's like you got to find your OS in the App Store, and we somehow take a cut of this. It's gonna be something like that.
Yeah,
I could see
it's
that.
weird because with Parallels, you don't even need to find an ISO anymore. It just downloads. It asks you, do you want to download Windows? It's like, sure. And I was blown away because it's like, this is an ARM Mac. Everything worked. It's like, whoa, this has come along quite a bit.
I don't know. I keep coming back to the thermals though, because I mean, if you ever look at a Surface Pro compared to an iPad Pro, it's a lot thicker. Um,
Mm-hmm. I mean, it'll
Pretty
just
significantly.
throttle, I'd imagine, is the thing.
But would that be? I guess I don't know what kind of experience that would be running like a desktop OS.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can load up some pretty fancy games on the iPad, and it does a decent job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be.
What's
We'll
what's the
see.
most what's the most like? Have you installed any like Death Stranding or any of the big games on your iPad Pro?
I tried out that Assassin's Creed
Syndicate? Is that what it is?
Mirage. I think it was
Mirage, yeah.
Mirage.
I've got that one, yeah.
Um, I tried that, and I continue to wait for Shadows, which every so often I go to the Ubisoft website. It still says coming to iPad in the future, although it says coming to iPad and Nintendo Switch 2 in the future, and the Switch one is about to come out, I think. So
Oh
I'm
yeah, in
honestly,
on December, I think.
I think December.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm just waiting for them to quietly remove that text and it just never to come out.
Yeah. I have Biohazard, Resident Evil Biohazard on my iPad Pro as well.
I don't want to do horror games. So like, we need the.
Yeah,
I know Death Stranding isn't. I don't think,
it is not. This one is a very chill game
but like, there's
overall.
all these Resident Evils. It's like I can't. I don't want to do those. Like, give me something
Alien
different.
Isolation.
No, no, no.
I did Alien Isolation in the Vision Pro, and that's a fun experience. That's something else.
I don't know what game I would want on my iPad, but I, you know what they, if the iPad, because the Macs run
Spider
Cyberpunk.
Man. Yeah.
I would take Spider Man, but if the iPad could run Cyberpunk, then I would be convinced it could run like Windows on ARM or something like that.
Sure.
You know,
I think it could. Yeah. Liza P. Anything that's on the Mac, it's like bring that to iPad too, please. Yeah. Not that I'd ever
as
play it there because I have a Switch 2 and a PlayStation 5, but it'd be cool.
iPad users should have the option. Again, I think that it's probably just as much that whole again touch controls thing. Like they don't have to do that on the Mac. They don't have to implement touch controls, but they do.
Are they
They do.
required to, or are they
I
just
think you have.
encouraged to?
I think you have to. I don't think you can sell a game on the iOS and iPadOS App Store that requires a game controller. I
Hmm.
think it has to support touch.
The other thing that iPad OS needs to do for gaming is I've heard using keyboard and trackpad is insanely difficult for developers to implement properly. Like, let's have more games be controlled with your Magic Keyboard, please, because that would be amazing. I've heard that's difficult to do for whatever reason with iPad OS.
And I do think for them, the iPad is just as much an accessory story than selling an iPad. So, I mean, you think they
Mm-hmm.
want to sell more Magic keyboards.
Yeah, the accessory story is all about the iPad Pro. It's part of the obnoxious. Like, I love the iPad, but it's part of the obnoxious thing about being an iPad owner is like when you update. If you're updating at a big turning point of iPad, you're probably needing to buy a $300 keyboard
Mm-hmm.
and Apple Pencil or whatever, and it gets very expensive very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Anyways, anything else on iPad before we wrap it up? I mean,
Um,
I'm sure there's a lot we have not talked about as far as the 10 years of iPad Pro, but
no,
there.
I'm, very happily an iPad Pro user, despite, improvements it needs. But, a lot of people complain about how expensive it is. But for me, it's a primary machine. And so that it costs as much of it as a MacBook Pro is fine because it kind of replaces a MacBook for me in that
Mm-hmm.
way. So, um, no, I'm hoping for another 10 years of interesting updates with this product.
Yeah. I have to say, magnets have been quite the revolutionary thing with the iPad just over its lifetime. The iPad 2, the smart cover, like
Mm-hmm.
apps like the Evernote flashcard app doing cool things. And this reminds me of like Slide to Unlock, where you didn't have a passcode back then because you didn't care about this. Back when the iPad 2 came out, same era where you open the cover, you're in your iPad. Nothing else
Mm-hmm.
to worry about. It's great. Face ID is similar to that, where you open the iPad screen and you're already unlocked a lot of the times because you're just looking at while it's opening. So it kind
Yeah,
of brings us back to that a bit with that smart cover too.
but only as iPad Pro users.
Yes, you gotta shell out the money for that one. But yeah, I'm excited to see what's next for iPad Pro. Um, they are increasing. It's like a $2,000 computer now. So the updates for me are very much less frequent than they used to be when they were half that cost. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like just all their, I mean, all their computers are expensive. I guess the MacBook Air is maybe, I guess it depends on expensive. $1,000 is still expensive. But all
Yeah.
their computers are kind of expensive, I'd argue.
The Mac Mini, man, that's a decent price.
That's true. I couldn't get by
Yeah.
with the storage, but that is true.
Well, you can go to eBay and swap that storage out these days, right?
Oh boy, that.
Do
Mm,
you trust that?
mm, I okay. I'm not not buying an Apple computer because I want to open it up. Like if that's I'm just not. I
Okay.
would go
The
PC for
mini,
that.
the mini
Yeah.
seems such a nice, easy to open thing, right?
You would it should be, but I don't think it. Last I knew, it still isn't. Right? Like there's still a lot of
Is it
junk you
weird to get
gotta
into?
move.
I wasn't sure. Yeah.
I don't look too far into it, but
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
I changed out the graphics card of the G4 Cube, and that was a fun project. That thing was meant to be played with, though.
Right. And I look at my gaming PC and it's obviously meant to be gotten into and that's fine, but like I don't know. That's
Oh,
it's
Apple
not
does
Apple
not want you
anymore.
changing. No, they don't want you doing that.
You know.
Well, where can folks follow what you're up to on the interwebs?
Slatepad.org will get you to everything I'm doing, which is mostly writing and making videos. But yeah, that's where you can catch up with me and what I'm up to.
Cool deal. Thank you for your time tonight. It's one of our longer episodes. I rather enjoyed reminiscing, nostalgia. I can talk forever on old stuff.
Yeah, this was I knew I didn't have to do any prep for this one. Like I had a feeling we had this, just off the top.
life experiences here.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I was that weird kid in the office when I had the marketing jobs of just got two iPads, just doing all sorts of weird things on them. He's got some external displays he randomly hooks up to him to do different things. It's weird and fun times, and
Mhm.
pushing the boundaries at work. And when they give me a Mac or whatever that was really slow, it's like, let me do it over here for now for this project. Yeah. Well, thank you, Riley. I really appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Well, that's my discussion with Riley all about the 10 years of iPad Pro. Make sure to check out SlatePad for all that he's up to. And if you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so over at patreon.com/iPadPros or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. With that, I'll talk with everyone again real soon.